The story begins with a young man named Hallam, who has been living in isolation and depression ever since his mother passed away. His mother died 2 years ago by drowning in a lake near their house. However, Hallam firmly believes that his stepmother was responsible for his mother's death and that his father supported her. This suspicion arose because his stepmother was previously his father's secretary, and soon after his mother's death, his father married her. Hallam never had a good relationship with his father, and he despised living with him and his stepmother. So he spent most of his time alone in a treehouse in the nearby woods. Over time, he developed a habit of spying on people who came into the forest using binoculars. He also recorded his observations and inner thoughts in a personal diary. One day, his stepmother finds and reads his diary. It contains details about the people he had been watching, along with personal thoughts, including an unsettling admiration for his stepmother's beauty. After reading this, his stepmother goes to his treehouse and seduces him. Hallam, unable to resist, gives in to the moment, leading to an intimate encounter. After this, his stepmother blackmails him and forces him to leave for another city to ensure that he doesn't turn his father against her or create problems between them. Now, alone in an unfamiliar city, Hallam finds himself homeless, penniless, and without food. He spends the night starving on the rooftop of a building. The next morning, while wandering the streets, he spots a woman named Kate, who bears an uncanny resemblance to his deceased mother. The sight of her makes Hallam momentarily believe that she is, in fact, his mother. Intrigued and drawn to her, Hallam starts following Kate and eventually sees her entering a hotel. Curious, he follows her inside and discovers that she works as the hotel manager. Seizing the opportunity, he approaches Kate and asks if there are any job openings. After a brief conversation, Kate hires him for kitchen work. Hallam, desperate for a job, eagerly accepts and begins working diligently. Over time, he starts enjoying his work at the hotel. However, Hallam's obsession with Kate grows stronger. After finishing his shift, he begins following her, observing her daily routine, where she goes, what she does, and even where she lives. He becomes increasingly fixated on her, believing she resembles his mother. One day, when Kate doesn't show up for work and is out somewhere, Hallam sneaks into her house. While inside, he looks out of the window and notices a clock tower nearby. He realizes that Kate's house can be easily observed from that tower. Coincidentally, the clock tower is near the hotel where he works. Just as he is about to explore further, Kate unexpectedly returns home. To avoid getting caught, Hallam quickly escapes onto the rooftop. From there, he finds a glass skylight that gives him a direct view into Kate's home. He begins spying on her from there. Previously, Hallam had been sleeping in a small room at the hotel, but the next day, he moves into an abandoned room inside the clock tower. Since the place is rarely visited, it becomes his new hideout, allowing him to secretly watch Kate from a distance with his binoculars. From that moment on, Hallam regularly spies on Kate through his binoculars, watching her dance and go about her daily activities. One day, while observing from the clock tower, he notices that Kate's senior from the hotel has come over to her house, and they seem to be enjoying each other's company. The next day, as Hallam climbs the stairs to the clock tower, the same senior who was with Kate the previous night stops him angrily and says, "You can't go up there! Only senior staff are allowed!" Later, while working in the kitchen, Kate approaches Hallam and asks, "How are you liking your job?" Hallam responds that he enjoys it, which makes Kate happy. That night, Hallam sneaks onto Kate's rooftop again, watching her through the skylight. He sees her with her senior and overhears their conversation, realizing that the senior is married and has 2 children, confirming that he is having an affair with Kate. This revelation deeply upsets Hallam. He retreats to the clock tower, hiding from everyone. Watching Kate and her senior reminds him of his own mother, making him believe that his father and stepmother had been having an affair long before his mother's death. He speculates that when his mother found out, she confronted the stepmother, who then murdered her to secure her place with his father. Convinced of this theory, Hallam goes to the police station and files a case against his stepmother, accusing her of his mother's murder. He also tells the officer that his father never supported him. The next day, Kate calls Hallam to her office and offers him a front desk job at the hotel. Hallam agrees and starts working there. Soon, he begins to enjoy his new role and even makes a friend. One day, while watching Kate from the clock tower, Hallam is caught by her senior, who realizes he has been spying on her. Furious, the senior threatens to report him to the police and get him fired. But Hallam counters by revealing that he knows about the senior's affair with Kate. He tries to blackmail him, leading them to agree to keep each other's secrets. The next day, Kate approaches Hallam and wishes him a happy birthday. He has just turned 19. One of his co-workers overhears and insists on a celebration. Kate also encourages Hallam to celebrate celebrate, and they make plans to go to a bar that night. Later, Hallam, his coworker friend, and Kate go drinking at the bar. His friend gets too drunk and leaves early, while Hallam and Kate continue drinking and talking late into the night. Since it's too late to go home, Kate brings Hallam to her place. Intoxicated, she tries to get close to him, but Hallam isn't ready. They eventually go to sleep without anything happening. As Hallam lies beside her, he reflects on how surreal it feels to be so close to the woman he had secretly watched for so long. The next morning at work, Hallam asks Kate out on a date, but she refuses, saying, "Forget whatever happened last night. I was drunk." Disappointed, Hallam walks away. Later, he is called into a hotel room where he finds Kate waiting for him. She approaches him and they become intimate. Hallam begins to feel happy with Kate, and she seems to enjoy being with him as well. One evening, while spying from Kate's rooftop, Hallam witnesses her senior angrily confronting her. The man raises his hand to strike Kate in a fit of rage. Enraged, Hallam removes the skylight glass and jumps into the room to protect her. He tries to stop the senior, but the man hits him and exposes Hallam's secret to Kate, saying, "He watches you from the clock tower and your rooftop every night." At first, Kate orders the senior to leave. After he is gone, she turns to Hallam and asks, "Have you been watching me?" and demands to know how long it has been going on. Hallam confesses, "Since the day I first saw you, but I have a reason for it." However, Kate, furious and betrayed, refuses to listen. She orders him to leave and fires him from his job. The next day, as Kate is coming home from work, she sees Hallam sitting outside the hotel. Feeling sorry for him, she takes him to her home. When Kate asks, "Why were you watching me?" Hallam replies, "My mother passed away 2 years ago and I was shattered. I loved my mother very much and I could never recover from this tragedy." Hallam continues, "After my mother died, my father remarried, but I hated my stepmother. I stopped living in the house and instead stayed in a tree house in the nearby forest where I began spying on people with binoculars. Over time, this became a habit. But when I came to this city and saw you, Kate, I noticed that you looked just like my mother. Seeing you reminded me of her." Hearing this, Kate feels very bad for Hallam. Later, Kate wears Hallam's mother's dress, which he had brought with him. Seeing her in his mother's dress, Hallam breaks down in tears, reminiscing about his mother. Kate comforts him. The next day, when Hallam goes to work, he finds out that his parents have come to see him. The police station provided them with his location after he filed a case against his stepmother, but due to a lack of evidence, no action was taken against her. Hallam's father tells him that they have a massive debt and need to sell some land to repay the loan. He asks Hallam to sign a will that his mother had left in his name before her death. Hallam suspects that his stepmother is behind all this, so he refuses to sign. His stepmother then starts insulting him and they leave. That night, Hallam recalls his stepmother's words, where she said that his mother's death was an accident and he should move on. These words make him furious. The next day, Hallam takes a train back home. Overwhelmed with sorrow and anger, he silently enters the house, gags his stepmother, ties her up, and takes her to the lake, where he throws her into the water. As she starts drowning, Hallam suddenly realizes that he is making a mistake. He pulls her out of the water and apologizes. His stepmother then leaves. At that moment, Hallam's father arrives and reveals that his mother had been suffering from depression for a long time and had taken her own life. Realizing his mistake, Hallam apologizes to his father for his behavior. Hallam then takes a train back to Kate. However, she refuses to meet him, saying that her relationships have never worked out and she does not want to be in one right now. She tells Hallam that he is still young and if he really wants to be with her, he should come back after a few years. Hallam then leaves with a smile on his face, walking down the street thinking that one day he will meet Kate again. And with that, the movie ends. Friends, thank you so much for watching the video till the end. If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it. For more movie explanations, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Until then, bye-bye.